Hi guys, and welcome to the show. My name's Carl Tidderington, and I've got an exciting show for you today. We're going to be looking at the Armies of Germany army book, and I'm very excited for that indeed. It's certainly one I've been looking forward to. But firstly, I'm sure many of you will be watching your screens and thinking, where is the bow tie? Where is that level of gravitas that graced the screens last week? Well, unfortunately, I've got the sad news to announce that unfortunately the bow tie is missing in action. The costume department came in to work this morning ready to get me set for the show, and unfortunately they couldn't find the bow tie. It was last reportedly seen in the wardrobe on the tie rack, but searchers have been looking high and low and have yet to find it. So unfortunately, I'm sure you'll be with me in wishing the bow tie all the best and hoping for its safe return. And obviously our thoughts and prayers are with it at this sad time. And of course the tie family, the wraparound ties. I'm sure it's a sad time for them too. Anyway, on to a more serious note. Let's take a look at the Armies of Germany. Okay guys, so Armies of Germany, once again great artwork done by Peter Dennis. Very much, I believe all of Warlord, as I've said before, all of Warlord's books are illustrated by Peter Dennis. So once again, credit to him. So diving into the book again, it's very, very similar to the Armies of Great Britain book that we looked at last week. Again, for those who perhaps picked up the book drunk and weren't sure what they were picking up, we've got the what's in this book, or what is this book, and following on from that, we have a timeline of Germany during World War II. So very helpful for those who perhaps don't know much about it. Who are just kind of picking this up for the first time. And I have to say, I like to play lots of different armies, but I would probably class myself as a German player quite often. I do like a lot of their army lists. My Blitzkrieg army that I'm building, something like 2,000 points worth. I mean, if you're getting an army that's 2,000 points worth, unless you're getting lots of armies that are 2,000 points worth, you're probably aiming for that particular nation. So that I would say I'm a German player, and I really was looking forward to getting this book, and certainly not disappointed when I received it. It's got lots and lots of detail with great options, lots of artillery, lots of tanks, as you would expect. I'm not a big fan of tanks. I like a lot of infantry battles, but the Germans certainly have their fair share, if not more so, of tanks. And for any German player, particularly who's keen on getting as many vehicles out there as possible, this is definitely a book that you need to have. What wargaming item is not on the need to have list, but if you're a German player and you want to put together an army, then this is really the book you need. I mean, in terms of this book, the section that's in the middle there, that's the army list. I mean, this is just the intro, and this is just the theatre selectors. So a large chunk of that is the army list, as with most of the books, which is really nice. And then you've got the theatre selectors at the end. Pretty similar. You've got the Blitzkrieg era. The nice thing about the Blitzkrieg era in the Germany book is that you've got the September Poland campaign. In fact, which would probably stretch beyond Poland. Maybe it's just Poland. Yeah. So you got the Poland campaign. You've got the Battle of France, and you've got Operation Barbarossa, and they're three separate lists. I tell a lie, it keeps going. You've got Operation Blue, which I'll need to read up on. The southern, the drive into southern Russia, and you've also got Stalingrad and Death on the Volga. and that's all in the Blitzkrieg section. I mean, if you remember back to when we looked at the British, excuse me, the Blitzkrieg period for the British, it was quite small. You know, it covered the home front, I think, and maybe the Raiders, but it was more sort of Battle of France. So that's really, you know, a really detailed section, and for me as an early war gamer, that's ideal. And then we've got North Africa, looking at the kind of Africa Corps, and I have to say, with looking at the Perrys and what they have to offer, you know, I would be very tempted to do an Africa Corps army. I just would have to try and somehow add it to my list without my wife seeing. But anyway, that's for another day's cunning planning. It's got Operation Mercury. It's kind of the invasion of Greece. So if you're a Fallschirmjäger army, that's an ideal one for you. Goes on to the Eastern Front, 43 to 44. And the nice thing is it's got a little army list for an anti-partisan security patrol. So probably mounted SS cavalry, which Warlord have recently brought out, which look very nice. Defense of the East. Then we move on to the Western Front, 43 to 44. So that specifically Italy, which is great, and the Atlantic Wall, which would be great against those. The Raiders list that we looked at last week with the British. So that would be an ideal list to play for something different. And then of course Normandy. We've got an army for Normandy. And I have to say, I you know, looking at these theatre selectors, it's really nice to see how they tie in with the ones from the British Army book. And also there's quite a few lists that are kind of different. They're creative. They bring out kind of an idea of, well, you know, what if you wanted to play this sort of game? You know, something that perhaps isn't your mainstream game of sort of Normandy or whatever it might be. And I like that, because I'm definitely a gamer who likes to play unusual and different games, and just clever different games. So then finally moving on, we've got the Fall of the Third Reich, 45. So we've got army list for the Rhine. We've got the Siegfried Line army, which would be good. We've got the Operation Spring, which is, you know, defense against the Red Army, kind of on the east in Hungary, and we've got the Last Levy army, which is your kind of Battle of Berlin sort of army. So some great lists. I mean, really looking at this, there's a lot of lists in here, a lot of specific lists, which is great. I would be interested to know, and maybe somebody from Warlord who sees this could answer this, but what list you would use, perhaps if you were doing a Battle of the Bulge army, and you were thinking of Hitler's last offensive into the Ardennes, you know, what army list would be best to use for that? Or it doesn't have to be somebody from Warlord, it could be anybody out there who knows what they're talking about. I know Andy Singleton's got a brain that's programmed for Germans. So Andy, if you know, please please comment and let us know. I'm sure, you know, especially with the new Winter Americans that'll be soon out from Warlord, but you can also get artisans as well. I'm sure there'll be lots of people who want to do a Battle of the Bulge, and you know, what German army list do you do for that? So anyway, so that's the book. I highly recommend it once again, particularly for you German players, but anybody who wants to throw out some German armies to test their allied armies, this is the book to check out. So that brings me nicely on to the inspiration section, as I have been doing. So let's take a look. Okay, this week's inspiration. Let's check out what we've got. So I'm thinking to start off with, I wanted to list some inspiration to kind of do some different games this week, kind of on that theme of some of the lists suiting the more unusual games. So to start off with, we have the classic The Eagle Has Landed, starring Michael Caine. Absolutely brilliant. He is Steiner, German paratrooper commander, tasked with kidnapping Churchill. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic film, well worth a watch. It's one of those what ifs, but it's really good. And Warlord even do a Steiner figure. So if you're into your Fallschirmjäger, into a bit of kind of fighting in Britain, what ifs, then this is a really good film to watch. And I think you could make an absolute cracking game using bolt action for this. So that's my first one. The second one, I'm afraid I haven't actually got on DVD, but the film is Stalingrad. It's absolutely brilliant. Kind of shows the German perspective on Stalingrad, and is well worth a watch. So I would recommend that. And then for something even more different, the Battle of the River Plate. Now this is more of a sea battle game, but I kind of thought, kind of seeing the German naval personnel, and I know that Warlord produce Kriegsmarine, German naval figures. I thought this would be quite an interesting film to watch to get a bit of inspiration for maybe doing some sort of Kriegsmarine army force. So that would be good. And kind of following on from that, actually, I was thinking there's the Dad's Army episode called The Deadly Attachment, which is where the Home Guard, Captain Mannering and his platoon, are asked to guard a U-boat crew. And so I think the Kriegsmarine figures would work really well for that, along with the Dad's Army Home Guard platoon. And you could probably pull out some sort of nice game with that, some scenery from Wilmington-on-Sea, some terrain. That could be fun. Certainly something that I would love to do in the future. So that's that one. And finally, the film Downfall. Absolutely brilliant. Really good kind of image of what it was like in the Battle of Berlin in the last days of the war in Europe. And this would be absolutely, this is a great film to watch if you want to do a last levy army against some Russians, and kind of get the feel of that last gritty kind of defense of Berlin and the last stand of units like the SS. So yeah, definitely well worth a watch. And that's my inspiration for this week. As always, thank you for watching. If you've got comments, please leave them. If you want to like this film, please do, or this video, please do. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, and we will see you probably on Monday now for the next episode of the show. And until then, have a great time rolling your dice, playing games, and doing whatever you do. So until then, goodbye.